Today we are diving deeper into the shifting dynamics of India's premium SUV petrol market. It's a changing space with consumer preferences, evolving urban tastes developing. And to talk more about that, at the launch of the petrol versions of the Harrier and Safari, I have with me Mr. Vivek Srivatsa, who's the Chief Commercial Officer at Tata Passenger Electric Mobility. Welcome, Vivek. So, Vivek, now that we're inside the car, just walk us through some of the features that stand out because this is already a refreshed version and I see so many of nice, cool things. Just walk us through some of the favorite features in the car.
Mainly, it's to start off the big QLED display we have here for infotainment. We had it on the Harrier.EV and now it's come down to ICE as well, both Safari and Harrier. First time in a car in India, we have Samsung QLED. Obviously, along with this, we get Dolby Atmos as well, 10 speaker system, including the subwoofer. We have something called Arcade, where consumers can download apps, maybe entertainment, infotainment, even their Zoom calls and Teams meetings can happen over this. Second is, of course, is the rear view camera, which is hugely appreciated in the EV. And we thought it's time to get it into ICE. It's especially at night, the visibility is fantastic. Consumers have really helped. Plus, it also works as a DVR. It records both front and back at the same time. So, in terms of tech, that is very special. We have really made the gasoline versions a more premium offering. You can see that in the interior decor also. The color and trim, we have gone light on the Harrier for the first time. Harrier was always the sporty, slightly dark tinted car on the inside, but now we have gone light and made it more airy. So these are the major features on the inside, I would say. Yeah.
Okay. So how does it tie well with the diesel options? Because how do you sort of expect them to coexist in terms of demand and different differentiations in the market?
Yeah. So for the last many years, we've been having only diesel. So it really took care of consumers who were looking at really putting on a lot of miles, on the road every month. And we did not have a choice for people who wanted to have a larger car, but did not have that level of running kilometers. And also, diesel is a slightly heavier engine, right? So the driving quality is slightly different. The driving experience is slightly different. You will see when you drive this extremely different drive experience, much more, I would say, lighter drive, tighter drive, and we believe it will open opportunity to cater to everybody in the family to drive this car. It becomes a much more all-round car, easy to drive in the city, easy to maintain. So I think it's going to open out a big opportunity for us. Increasingly, the gasoline penetration in high SUVs is going up. People are worried about regulations, and like I said, the flexibility of drivability of a gasoline is much more. Everybody at home can drive it. So we think it'll add substantial volumes to us over the diesel. Yeah.
Nice. In terms of features and differentiations and interiors, is there any other differentiation from the diesel version, or it's sort of going to coexist?
It'll coexist. Like I said, we've added some premium features.
More premium,
I've already spoken about the touchscreen and the rear view camera, but we also have electric washers for the cameras, etc. So those things kicking and make it a little bit more prestigious offering, I would say. Plus, we've launched the new interior here. We've gone with red dark also. That also will be available on both Harrier and Safari. So the attempt is to make it a more urbane and more prestigious car.
Right. In terms of pricing, since this is a more premium, if you would want to sort of touch upon that as well, because I'm sure everyone will be excited to know just that.
Yes, I think it's definitely going to be lower price than the diesel. We are still not announcing prices. We'll announce it in the first week of January.
But the differential, if you could...
I won't be able to be precise, but it will be lower than the diesel.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. And tell me the core audience for this, because like you said, it's a family, more premium kind of a... How do you see that coexistence of audience, that mixing, that cannibalization happening with the diesel offering, or there's a clear-cut differentiation?
I think it's a clear-cut differentiation, and also more and more we have realized that even between Harrier and Safari, there's a distinct kind of users. If you look at the Safari now with the gasoline, it's going to be a car which, let's say the male of the house or the husband of the house is able to drive to work in the morning, but the lady of the house can take it again in the evening for her socializing. So it's going to be much more all-rounder, I would say. Much easier to drive, very smooth. Even the NVH and ambience inside the car is going to be much, I would say, more refined. You can see now the engine is on and you can hear it.
Yeah.
Also, in terms of drivability, we have made it perfectly balanced. When you drive it, you'll see that the low end torque is perfect. The kind of power that comes out, you will feel that you always have more power on tap to do whatever you want. At the same time, it is not overwhelming. And fuel efficiency is going to be a big highlight. One of the big issues in this category is fuel efficiency of gasoline.
It matters for that segment as well.
It matters because up to a threshold people are okay, but if it goes below that, then it becomes a huge issue. So and that is something that we have really worked on to optimize the engine to deliver really good power and performance, at the same time take care of NVH, but also achieve, I would say, segment best kind of fuel efficiency.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the pretty cool things is that it gets so many features from the EV versions, which is generally the other way around for other offerings, because
Exactly.
EV version is just like a by the way of an nice spot for some brands and some. So that's pretty cool. That
Absolutely.
EV is lending to a nice version in that in terms of
Absolutely.
features.
Yeah, that's helped us a lot. And we got good feedback on the EV as well. So we've been able to choose the right features which consumers touch every time they drive, so we are able to percolate that.
Yeah, very cool. Why don't we take it for a ride
For sure.
and continue our conversation on the road?
My pleasure.
How large do you expect the market to be? Because petrol uptake is still, I mean, the numbers are minuscule as compared to diesel. So how big is the market expectation in your opinion?
I think it's been growing over the last 2-3 years, actually, and our estimate is currently it's about 25%. Gasoline is almost 25% of the high SUV market, which is substantial. And also the feeling is it's going to go up further because regulations are going to get tighter and tighter. Diesel would definitely be affected in terms of regulations and other government policies, I would say. So it is important for us to have a gasoline engine, and in the next 2-3 years, I wouldn't be surprised if gasoline is about 50% of the high SUV high SUV category. It's also important that the right powertrain is required. People expect a certain level of performance in this category. If gasoline engines are able to deliver that, it will definitely increase the uptake for petrol from customers. Yeah.
I'm really curious to know what were some of the consumer behavior, insights and decisions that sort of influenced you to launch the petrol variants of Harrier and Safari, because it can be a mix of different factors in a market like India, like it could be price sensitivity, fuel preferences, because those are also shifting, and urban usage patterns are also sort of moving, and it's in a state of flux. So what would you attribute are some of the key factors that helped you sort of think about this launch and think about this variant?
I think it is, like you said, it is more urban usage pattern. I think a few years back, the situation was that, large SUVs were primarily for families to go out on long drives, maybe not so much preferred within the city. But now with increasing, I would say, affordability of Indian consumer, they are willing to pay more to get a more prestigious vehicle. We are seeing people wanting to have larger and larger cars. We've also seen that with the road infrastructure developing, the need for larger cars is growing, both in terms of social status but also usage. But having said that, not everybody wants to drive a lot of kilometers in a month. There are a lot of people who want a large car, but only for city use. Or not that traditional diesel mindset where the more I drive, the more I save with diesel, in terms of fuel efficiency and other areas. So, and third is, I would say, more and more people within families driving. There used to be a point where only the male of the family used to drive. Today, women have started increasingly driving as well, and maybe with slightly older couples, even the kids start driving when they are at the right age. So the need for a car to be comfortable to drive across all people in the family is also important, and that way gasoline engines are becoming far more acceptable for people. The heft of a diesel is liked by many, but for a lot of people who have to drive within cities and in tough traffic conditions, gasoline becomes that level little easier. So this is driving a lot of uptick of gasoline in the high SUV category.
I know it's a tough question, but what do you expect to grow faster in petrol? Is it going to be Harrier or Safari?
I think it's going to be Safari, to be honest, because with 7 seats, that's more likely to be preferred by larger families, and hence also the mindset of consumer. Harrier is that very individualistic customer who doesn't care for doesn't for him. He's buying it for his own satisfaction. So I feel Safari will have more petrol uptick than Harrier. Yeah.
Do you anticipate any cannibalization with the diesel variants of Harrier and Safari? Because like you have defined the audience, but still it's going to be a very, it's going to mix up at some point. So are you worried about cannibalization at this point? Is that going to be a bigger challenge? How do you sort of account for that?
No, I don't think so, because people are buying gasoline. I think they're not even considering diesel. So far we were completely out of this customer's consideration set. So I think very, very, very minimal cannibalization, I would say. Those few customers who probably like the silence and NVH of a petrol, or the other customers who like the heft and presence of a diesel, very little overlap, but minimal cannibalization. Most of the sales of gasoline will be over and above what we are already selling. Right. Yeah.
Okay, so this is very interesting because Tata Motors' overall powertrain roadmap has been very interesting. It's been a mix of EVs, petrol in the bigger segments now that we are seeing. So how will this launch tie into an overall Tata Motors powertrain strategy and product roadmap going forward? How will it lead into that?
I think it ties in very well, because you will know that we are a company who have really focused on multi-powertrain strategy across our products, whether it is a Punch or a Nexon. Nexon is a car which has all possible powertrains, from petrol, diesel, CNG, electric, automatics, of course. So that has been our approach. How do you provide the consumer with all options of use cases? Consumers choose the product first, right? And then they choose whether I want diesel or petrol or EV. So many a time consumers get frustrated saying that the product they like don't have the right powertrain for them, for their particular use. So this has been our strategy. Try to, once a consumer likes your product brand, give him or her all possible options of powertrains. So that way it falls in very well. Harrier today will have 3 powertrains, diesel, EV and gasoline. Safari has 2. So it is very much in line with our thinking, broad base every product to its, maximum possible, potential.
How would you, in your opinion, assess the current market demand for premium petrol SUVs in India, especially in the mid-size segment where Harrier and Safari compete?
I'll start first with the high SUV itself. I think high SUV is a high potential category for sure, because like I said, with increasingly superior road network coming in, we're already seeing a lot of long distance driving is getting into people's lifestyles. Family drives, 4 people going in a car is actually becoming cheaper than flying. It also gives them that additional time together. It's become an ideal way of planning a vacation. We saw it this year, right? Both during Diwali and even the week before Diwali, roads were completely empty in cities like Bombay, Delhi, and across the country, because everybody had taken their vehicles and gone out on vacation. It was taking 1/3 the time to travel in Mumbai. So I think high SUV is the ideal suited vehicle for long distance drives, the kind of highways that are coming in India. People will realize that, both in terms of comfort, safety, performance required for long distance. It's going to really pick up high SUVs. Mid SUVs today are the bulk of the market, but I won't be surprised that high SUVs really start picking up. Within the high SUV, I think again petrol will gain. I think there's always a fear of regulation with diesel. Um, Currently, it is largely seen in NCR, but it's going to come across everywhere. And I think petrol, I would estimate in the next 2-3 years, petrol could well be close to 40 to 50, 45% of the high SUV category. So it's very important, I would say, for gasoline to make its mark in this category. Yeah.
But this will be at the cost of diesel. You see diesel becoming, because globally there's talk of diesel becoming more cleaner, taking a comeback. So how do you see that both technologies coexist here?
Yes, I mean, beyond a point, for us, it's for us, we're just now getting into gasoline. So initial volumes are going to be definitely an uptake. But over a longer period of time, I think, yes, petrol growth will come at the cost of diesel. Okay. Yeah.
But any words on the core audience for this, and how do you differentiate that with the diesel audience? I know you've spoken about it, but how do you sort of how does the audience differentiate in the minds of the consumer? How does that?
Largely, it is an audience who is looking for a premium ride experience, but not an audience which is very focused on too much of daily long drives and all that. It's more a family kind of a vehicle which is looking a power option, who are looking at prestigious vehicle, but probably at the same time, petrol is going to give them a lower priced option to get into this category. So that's the kind of audience we are looking at. Multiple people at home driving it, largely within the city. At the same time, they have an option to go on a family drive once in a while, but they are looking to showcase themselves as somebody who are wealthy, who have a large car at home, so that
premiumness,
that prestigious footprint is something they really seek. Yeah.
So Vivek, you didn't tell us what is your favorite feature in the car, and what do you think will stand out for the audience?
See, for me, I'm an automotive guy, so I love the engine. I think this engine, it is in a different state of tune compared to what it is in the Sierra. It's more fine-tuned for operation in a high SUV. It's a very, very, I would say, carefully calibrated engine which sits between. I mean, it delivers optimally on 3 parameters, the way we look at it. Firstly, power. I think it's got the right level of power delivery for this size of a car. Consumer will always feel that there is enough power on hand. At the same time, it is not overwhelming. It is not an overkill. The second is fuel efficiency. The biggest problem consumers have in this category with gasoline engines are that they are very, very poor in fuel efficiency. But this engine will give very high, very segment best fuel efficiency, I would say. Third is NVH and refinement. And we have worked a lot on this. You can see now that we hardly hear the engine and you don't feel it at all. Yeah. So these are 3 areas that we worked on.
As good as an EV when it comes to engine.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, engine, being an automotive guy, I love the engine. But in terms of gadgets, I love the rear view camera. I think it absolutely changes the level of visibility you have, and especially if it's raining or in the night, the kind of confidence that gives is amazing. So I think I predict that this is a feature which will
change the game,
cascade down into other cars very, very fast, because consumers just love it.